So what's the value of data and what are we talking about when we say it? So you want to be a Power BI developer. We can see it cross highlights, fact and dimension. The visual calculations. So we've got time intelligence within there. Let's just get right down to it. Let's start simple. Last couple of videos, last couple of articles we've written have been around setting up workspace strategies, haven't they? And where does that come from? And it all comes from setting out the value proposition of your data and to set up something that allows you to get the most value out of your data that you just wouldn't be able to get normally. So we set it up where we have specific data engineering areas where data engineering workloads take place. So those ETL scripts that are going to take data from the source processes, bring it through into something that can then be used and leveraged by the business to get insights out of it. So we start with source processes potentially to be tweaked. This is where it becomes recursive, that your analysis can feed back into those processes and help fix them, which will then lead to tweaks going through there. There's a structured workflow of continual improvement that will always go on within that. Those structured tables, though, that could include aggregations as well, if needs be, are then going to be used by your semantic models. And say models, hopefully you aim for one. Remember that, we always aim for just one semantic model, but we accept that we might never get less than 3 or 4. Okay, that's just a reality, but the aim is always one model to rule them all. The reason why we want one as a target is because we then have the visualization layer. And the visualization layer is valuable because everyone is looking at the same numbers. Okay? If every aspect of your business has got, this is it, there is one source of truth, why would we look elsewhere? Right? That's the purpose of having a single general ledger. We have one source of truth. If you had general ledgers all over the business, which one's the right one? How do my finance team actually know what's going on? The reason they'll say, well, we wouldn't. We have one source of truth, one general ledger. That's it. If you start saying, oh, we're going to take copies of the general ledger and just put them all over the business, honestly, watch your CFO go bald is all I would say, because they will pull their hair out. It doesn't work. The same is true across your data landscape. We need to standardize it to as few semantic models as possible. We know we're going to have lots of processes around the business. Potentially those processes are going to have variations as well, which is why we need to enforce and drive standards into the business and into the data structures that go on with it. And it's why there's always that differential between transactional data, line of business, working practices, and analysis. There's kind of the data needs are different. That whole ETL pipeline we need to be very clear about. We need to make sure it works and is structured. So let's get to the app layer now, the visualization layer. We've got our standard applications that are coming through, or our standard semantic models that are then going to feed into our standard applications that we've now wrapped around our core functions. So we talked yesterday, didn't we, about using C-Suite. So the C-Suite is a great example of why we recommend building your apps around functional workspaces or functional areas of the business. So if we say we're going to have one C-Suite app, everything that goes on in the business is going to come up and surface in that functional app for them, so that the C-Suite can see this is everything that you need to see. There's nothing else that you should need to see. If we're saying, oh, there's something else over there, why is it not being brought in? It'll be straight away challenge number 1. Why have we not brought that in? What's in place to bring that in for next month for them? So there's no need for them to say, well, there's this report over there. If someone's saying, well, I run a separate report, I build something different, is it standard? Can it be trusted? That becomes the way of working when you get this right. Because you've got all that built though, and you say, right, here's this, everything the C-Suite needs, we then have to tackle, don't we, that Chief Person Officer might have, well, I need to have a view that allows me to see breakdown of human cost at an individual level. So we wouldn't give them the names potentially, but we would give them kind of like the job titles. We might give them a cumulative cost if it's, say, like cashiers, where we have 10 cashiers in this location, but you'd have a way of breaking down something. And there's a level of detail there that you would not want to give to the other members of the C-Suite. Because if you're looking, say, oh, we need to cut costs, like a CFO might just look and say, well, who's the most expensive person here? Let's pick the second most expensive and get rid of that person because that makes sense. Or, you know, can the second most expensive replace the first most expensive? And yeah, it becomes about the number as opposed to the value, which is the two are different things. So the value comes from being able to say, well, we're going to have an audience for that chief people officer so they can see the additional report. No one else can. But again, it's all from one location. They go to one place and there's just an extra button on the menu for them. CPO report, chief people officer's report. Click on it and they can then see the breakdowns that they need. You could do that for other areas of the C-suite. So, you know, your chief marketing officer might have some more detailed metrics about how specific campaigns are performing, or about how overall spend versus lead generation or the like equates. Something that you wouldn't want to give to the core board, because it wouldn't make sense to them. But you bring it all together, it's all surfaced there, and that way, if they need to present it to the team or show them something else, they can always kind of share their screen, click on it, and here we go. It becomes a very powerful way of working. So that's why we would recommend you do it that way. Okay? And then you can really see, can't you, that because we have started to focus on the structures and what's happening at each layer, the value of our data just increases as we go further and further forward with it, or further to the right in terms of the consumption layer for it. And what we mean by that is that when we get to that visualization structure and we've got everyone is now using this way of working, everyone is now accessing our data this way, your data actually goes up exponentially. The value of it just goes up and up and up, because suddenly you've got that single insight that's visible across the board, everyone can see it, and there's no argument about the value of where that data or the provenance of that number. And that's key. Value comes from provenance. So remember that. If you like what you see, don't forget, get in touch with Geordie Consulting, our consulting partner. They will support you and guide you and help move your business to the next level with your data. Data provenance is there and it's available to all of us if we get this right.